Well, it's July 27th. The apples are blushing on the trees. The gardens are at their fullest. They're looking beautiful, albeit with a couple of weeds. But today is a special day. Well, hello, my creative friends. Thanks for joining me on my YouTube channel. My name is Serena. Today is a special day because I finally finished my studio. And you all get to take a look inside and see what it looks like. It's been years in the making, and for those of you who have followed along with me, you know how many times I've been frustrated and almost threw in the towel. But it's done, so let's take a look. Alright, so here is the outside of the studio that you've seen 1,000 times as I was building it. But what's different today is the inside is complete. And you see I've also added a couple window boxes on the outside so I would have some greenery as I looked out the window. But let's go ahead and take a look inside and see what it looks like. It is a beautiful morning, a beautiful day to come inside and see the studio. We had a little bit of rain yesterday, a very pouring rain, so one of the windows is kind of wet. But here we are. I can't believe I put all that paneling in by myself, one by one, up and down the ladder so many times. Oh my goodness. This has been one of the hardest things I've done in my life. But it came out better than I expected. I did want the walls to be drywall, white drywall, so it would reflect as much light as possible and not interfere with the colors that I was painting. However, because this is an exterior building not attached to the house, and it will get hot and cold and hot and cold, I could not have drywall because of the mold issues that it would create. So I did have to go with this. Certainly it's beautiful, but it put me way over budget and behind schedule because it is so expensive. But it really was the only alternative I could use, for what I needed. So I'll probably give you a quick tour of what is going to go where. We can start right here. I have this window installed. That's our wood shed for firewood. Not the best placement should I have a fire, being that my stove is so close, right? But I do watch it carefully. It goes out completely when I'm using it in the winter, so it will not cause a problem. I swear to God, if this thing burns down, I am not building another one. It was too hard. It was too hard. It was too hard. But I have this window here installed for ventilation. So it'll be cross ventilation between here and these windows. So I'll get a nice breeze, a nice ventilation going on when I want it. So that's why I installed that. I don't really need light over here, but I wanted the ventilation. Over here, of course, I have a nice cozy stove. I am planning to use this in the winter. That was one of my problems in painting in the house. It was too noisy. I had no place to spread out. I literally was at the end working on my lap. And as frustrating as that was, it spurred me on to do this. It really did. That and your comments. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you were one of the people that gave me an encouraging comment and encouraged me also along the way while I was building. You have no idea how frustrating it was and how many times I was ready to give up. But your kind encouragement and your words kept me going. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you would like to see the video that started this all, I will post it or link it up above somewhere here. It's worth watching. Toward the end, you start really getting into why I did this. But it is worth watching just as a spur for yourself if you're thinking about doing something and you're dragging your feet on it. So watch that video after you see this one. So over here, besides the nice cozy stove that I'll have in the winter, and I'll be able to work in the winter, I am going to put some type of maybe bookshelf or storage area. I have a lot of open space here to do with what I wish. So that's going to be nice. My drafting table that my father gave me for graduating high school, you know, some kids, some really lucky kids get a car or a used car or something, you know, that's practical. I wanted something to help me in my career that I thought was going to be my career at the time. He got me a drafting table, which was the best thing he could have gotten me. My senior year of high school, I interned at an ad agency, and my father had gone to them, unbeknownst to me, and got a deal through them because, of course, ad agencies, they're always buying art supplies and pads of paper and markers and things to do their, you know, for storyboards and all that stuff. At least back then they were. Now they do it all digitally. But he got a deal through them to get a beautiful drafting table. And at this point, it is, I would consider it an antique because I've looked online and I cannot find one like it. Unfortunately, it's been in storage since I moved here tens of years ago, so a couple decades at least. So we're going to see how that looks in a future video when I take it out of its wrapping and cross our fingers that it's not rusted or mildewed out or anything like that. I've had it in an outbuilding, but you never know. So here is where the drafting table is going to go. It's rather big. It's probably 3 or 4 feet wide by 2 or 3 feet. No, it's more than 2 feet. It's probably 3 feet deep. So it's a size. I think the table is the size of a standard mat board. So if you buy mat boards to frame your photos, the large sheet, the whole large sheet, that's how big the tabletop is. It's big. Anyway, entryway, of course, I'm right in the grass here, and I track a lot of stuff in. I've got the mat here, but I'm planning on putting like a little snow mat here with big lugs to carry, to catch my shoes as I come in, especially in the winter and during mud season in the summer. So that will be there, and I'll just barefoot or slippers in here. Here is an area you can't really do much with because it's right by the door. This is going to be an open area. I want to keep this open. One of the reasons I wanted this studio was because I was literally doing yoga on the kitchen floor and people were walking over me to get to the bathroom during commercial breaks. So later for that, I've had enough. I had to do this. So this is going to be an open area. I'll bring in my yoga mats and I will be able to stretch and do yoga and whatever I want to do here. In future, I thought it would be a nice idea, even though I'd have a drafting table on the opposite side, I thought it would be a nice idea to get a nice big slab of wood that I could flip up as a writing desk. So I could write here, do journaling and so forth, that didn't require gluing or taping or painting or anything like that. Just a writing desk, a small writing desk that I could flip up and then flip down again against the wall when I was done. Fortunately, I built this myself, so I know exactly where the studs are, so I can attach it to secure points on the wall. I don't have to go guessing or use a stud finder to find out where I can secure it and put it in the wrong place and have it just collapse off the wall. So that's nice. That's going to be a project for the future. In addition, the bookshelf here, or the bookcase, whatever I decide putting up to put up here, that is going to have to take a little while for me to search for, because I don't want to get those cheapy IKEA ones that, you know, have they don't even have screws. They have like these bolts that go in the chipboard about 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch, and if you move them the wrong way, the whole thing collapses, and you've ruined that connecting point because the chipboard just collapses, just breaks apart. I can't stand it. I hope I'm not looking at another building project, but if I have to, I can build a bookshelf or a bookcase or several storage nook, something like that, to store my art supplies. In the meantime, they're coming in bins. Everybody's had it with all my art supplies in the house. If you've seen my past videos, or you look at my list on my site, on my main page, you'll see I have a lot of unboxing videos and or art haul videos, and they all had to go somewhere because I couldn't use them at the time. I used them a little bit, or I swatched with them, but very little. So now I get to take them out and actually use them. And what's good about having your own studio, and you've got to do this if you can, get a room, get an area, get a space where you can leave your supplies out when you are drawing or painting. Because there's nothing worse than painting something, worrying about how long is it going to take to dry, so I have to backtrack my time and stop earlier so that it dries in time for me to put it away, so the cats don't walk over it, or dust doesn't get on it, or someone doesn't walk by and knock it over. So you have to be able to, if it's on the dining table, you've got to put it away so everybody can eat. So you've got to get some kind of space for yourself. One of the things that spurred me on with that was a woman who had a channel called Cyndia Art. I think it's Sindia. I'll link it below though. But she said, paraphrasing, having your own space is going to make such a difference in your art. And she really encouraged me to take this leap as well. So a few influences, but I will link hers below because she was a key figure in that. Now you're probably wondering why the colors look so different. Now, I say I built this myself, and it is true. I did build it from floor plans to finished work. I did it all myself. But I did have help. My husband probably helped me with about 4% of lifting, moving, a second person to hold something, because you do need that a little bit unless you're very, very creative and you want to build some kind of braces, like to hold up the windows while you're working on it yourself. I didn't want to go through that. I asked him for help. Of course, he gave it to me, and I was able to, with his help, put the windows in. So I used his help with the windows. I used it with the roofing metal up top, because as I got up to the corner on the ladder, it was quite far, and it was just too far. Hey, I'm a lady. I don't have upper body strength. I'll be the first to admit, if the house is burning down, I want a nice strong fire person to come get me down. I don't care if it's a woman. If you can lift me, if you can lift my fatness out of the window and get me to safety, you're hired. But you need someone to be able to reach over and push down on the drill, and I couldn't do both. I could get the parts when I was laying belly on the roofing metal, which was really hot in the summer. It gave me, the area so I could go close to my body and push the drill down. But moving my arm out to reach on the corner of the roof here, where it was so high on the ladder, I couldn't do that and push down hard enough to get the screw through the metal. So my husband did help me with that corner and with this, and holding up the plywood while I drilled it, while I screwed it in on the outside. So he did help with that. And of course, getting back to the wood here, I had an excellent team at my local building supply store. Yes, I could go to Lowe's, Home Depot, those big box stores, and get all this stuff maybe a little bit cheaper, but not much. But I'll tell you what, dealing with the local supplier, I know the guy picked these out himself. He picked these out beautiful, beautiful, beautiful wood. The reason they look different is because this section has gone in first. I had to put this first to get the wood stove in. That's also why you see that sharp line, which I hate, but I had to do it. I had to put the wood in to underneath the stove because it's a wall-mounted stove. So I had to mount it on the stove in order to seal the roof because there was a hole in the roof. And I had to seal that by the time cold weather came. And you have to use sealant, which will seal like caulking, sealant, special caulking that will dry in a certain temperature. You can't have it, 40 degrees and put that in and then caulk it. It won't dry. It'll just freeze and it won't form a seal. So I had to do this and get this done quickly. That's why I did that instead of staggering. See, you're supposed to stagger these like this. You see a seam here, and then you come down here, there's a seam over here, so that when you back up, hope I'm not making you dizzy, you don't really see it. It looks like one solid wall. But I can solve this. It's not that big a deal. It was more important for me to get the stove in. That I can cover up with something. It's not a big problem. But the reason you see two different colors here is because this was put in the first year. I got this in right away so I could get that stove going. And then I finished up these with later shipments. So this was sealed. It had to go in and had to be polyurethane right away. It had to be completely finished. This I just polyurethane this year. So it is going to age. Hopefully they will both blend a little bit better together. But I am really looking forward to doing all this decorating and getting it to be mine, putting my stuff in. I'm very particular about what I'm putting in here. So I'm going to go shopping, and that's going to be half the fun, or more than half the fun, in getting little pieces together. I do want to shout out to the local building store because they did, as I said, I know they picked out these by hand. If I went to a big box store, yeah, they have this paneling, but do you know how many panels are warped or twisted or otherwise like dented? They have big gouges in them and so forth. Yes, it's wood. You will have some of that. I, in fact, had some of that on this. There's some spots that are gouged out or knots that were way on the corner that popped out, and the wood goes straight and then it goes whoop, and then it goes straight again. But the tongue and groove kind of hides it. But they didn't send me anything that was so bad that I couldn't use it. So shout out to them. If you have a choice and you can afford it, go with a local builder that is reliable. They helped me with the delivery. They bent over backwards to fit the deliveries in. They didn't even charge me. I said, look, if you're going up to my area anyway, and I need something, let me know when, and I will be there. I'll take off from work, or I'll have someone here to collect the wood or the materials when you're delivering it. And they worked with me on that. They said, well, then if we're coming up anyway, we won't charge you, because it was like bits and pieces all along. You saw, if you followed my videos, I got windows delivered and a door. And I got paneling for one section delivered. And I got roofing delivered. I had it, in fact, right out here. I had the roofing laying right out here. You've seen the metal if you've followed my videos. And you can go back to the other old videos and see how I put this together little by little. One thing I wanted to do, or may think of doing, is putting like some kind of loft or bookshelves up there, because that's kind of wasted space. I have to be careful with the heat because the heat does rise in the summer. It gets quite hot. But things like books I can put up there, some supplies that don't matter I can put up there. So I might put up shelving there and or here and or here. So I've got a lot of space to work with, which is nice. But I don't want to clutter it up. I just want to enjoy this open space for a while. The flooring, I had a hard time finding flooring that I could use. I wanted to use that, the vinyl strips. They're panels that you put in, but I couldn't because there's a little bit of give in the floor. You can hear it underneath. It's a little bit wonky. It's level. It's pretty level. I'm happy with it, but this is going to be nice. It'll be easy to clean. I wanted a light color, and that's what I was having a trouble finding. I could not find a light color that was kind of neutral and warm, and that wouldn't clash with the wood. I have so much wood, and if you ever looked in the big box store at these choices for flooring, it's all wood. I mean, wood is big now, which is nice, but if you've got wood paneling on the wall, you don't want wood on the floor too. It's too much. And I wanted the light color to reflect, I wanted to be able to reflect light as much as I could, because I do not have electricity in this building, nor will I. I won't have electricity. I won't have running water. Those are the only two things. I thought about this the other day. You could actually live in this. I mean, it's a wood stove. If I had running water and electricity, you could live in here, or even without electricity. Hey, the Amish do it. They have kerosene lamps, but and candles. We won't go there. But I'm very happy with this overall. And I know you've all been waiting for the great reveal. I hope you like it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you like how it turned out, because I'm really happy with it. The size is perfect. My local ordinance required anything over 144 square feet, which is basically 10 by 14, to be completed and built by a contractor, and you had to submit floor plans and everything. So I didn't want to get into that. I really wanted a 10 by 16, because that would give me just a little extra footage. But I'm glad I didn't, because the building was hard enough to build, and things were hard enough to lift. I'm pretty strong, but again, I'm a woman, and I don't have that upper body strength. I had to figure out how to move some of these things and how to keep them in place by myself, because I did not have a helper. That's why it took me 3 years, more than 3 years, to build it. But hey, I finished. It's the end of July, and I'm going to be able to use this for my birthday. The thing I really love is the fall. And now that I am semi-retired, I am enjoying the fall this year. I am going to enjoy it. And if you can see my cat there he is, scoping out some manner of bug or something that he's after. Oh, he caught something. Oh dear. Well, all right, maybe we best not show that part. Maybe it got away, or let's say it got away. But I do have window boxes in the front. I don't know if I showed you that before. So I get to look at my plants, or some plants, as I am working. So I've got some nice plants out there. I'll hear the bees buzz around them, and I'm very happy with this. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I wanted to inspire you to do something. If you've been anything, even if it's a large painting you're thinking of working on, or building a building, or finally setting up that studio space, whatever it is, whatever your big project is, even if it's going through your old art supplies and taking them out of the bin or box and using some of them, work on that big project, because you're going to be so happy when you're finished. These are pretty much all the tools I used to build this whole building. So most of these I had already, but you can see it didn't really take much to build the building. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, And I will see you soon in future videos, and you will get clips and bits of pieces as I decorate and bring in my art table. I am so excited to get my drafting table in here, or at least to see what shape it's in. I'm afraid to look, but I'm going to have to do it. That's what I built this for. So we will see together how this space comes to completion. Thanks for joining me today. Don't forget to hit that like button, and if you can, if you're on a device that allows you to hype it, go ahead and hit that hype button. I think building a studio is worth hitting a hype button for, so I'm going to toot my own horn and ask you to please do that. Also, leave me a comment on what you think and what your projects are. What are you working on? I want to know what you're working on too. My battery died there or something. But I want to know what you're working on too, because we form a community together, and it's the back and forth comments that really make the community. So thanks for joining me today, and I will see you next time.